vise, and this is a 2/0. I don't know if I quite remember the number. It's a 2/0 Umpqua U504. So this is a big, you know, popper hook. Really, most popper hooks you see are mustads, and they're like 1s and 2s. What I don't like about those is I like throwing, you know, a fairly large head on my topwater stuff. And the problem with these big heads and the smaller gap, you don't leave enough hook gap there to hook the fish, so you miss a lot of fish. So Umpqua came out with this big style hook. No reason to cover the hook shank yet. I'm just going to start my thread, and I'm just using a black flat wax. You could really use whatever 3/0 thread, but I'm going to start it and stop it basically right at the barb. Okay, so I'm not going to go any further back. I'm going to tie in my first material right above the actual barb. All right, so if you got your thread on, I gave you 3 rubber bands or round rubber legs together. You're just going to tie them in right on top of the shank, right where you started. So you're just going to wrap them on right on top of the shank, basically like that.
They're the long ones, right?
Yep.
The short ones too.
The short ones are the ones you want to use.
Short ones.
Yeah, the short ones should be 3.
Yep, exactly. That's what I got.
Yep. So I'm just tying it straight on top the hook shank. You can just wrap it down good, and then if yours is stuck together, you can split them to where there's 3 separate legs. And once you get there, I usually cut, you know, I don't want it too long hanging off the back of the hook. I'm going to cut the length, probably about the length of the shank, maybe 3/4 of it. So basically, that's a version of the old style Sneaky Pete slider, if you ever seen that. Cork, of course, we're using a foam one today.
That's been fun.
All right, so if you cut your legs, like I said, around 3/4 length of the shank, sticking out back is plenty. Now I'm gonna take the SF blend, the white crinkly material. I hand it out to you guys, and I'm just gonna, basically this is gonna represent a wing. Smallmouth eat a lot of bugs, a lot of different bugs. They eat dragonflies, cicadas, damselflies, hillgrammites, which is Dobson fly. So we want this wing really on this fly is really imitating a cicada for me, even though the body is bright yellow chartreuse. This wing material, I think, is copying the actual cicada wing. So I'm gonna just, you can tie it in the far tip. That's gonna stick out past your legs a bit. I'm gonna trim it once I tie it down, but I'm gonna tie it right on top of the legs. Cut it basically just straight across, pretty much the same length as the rubber legs, just like that. If you got some long strands, you can kind of cut them across. And this SF blend has flash in it, so when you're looking down on it in the water, or of course if the fish is looking up at it, it really gives the, you know, the look of a wing, a clear wing sticking up. So this is to give you an idea of what I do. I've already pre-finished this fly for you guys, or the head. So this is a pre-shaped bass pot made by Rainey, size large. They come in medium as well. All right, if you tied it on this way, that's a chugger.
Okay.
Tied on reverse, you have a slider. So you can do it either way with these. Now what I do is I buy them in white, and I didn't bring that stuff because it'll leak on me a lot of times. But I use a dye that's made by Cascade Crest Tools. It's a fly tying company. I'll dip it in, give it about 10-15 minutes to dry, and then I'll dip it into a finish solution that basically kind of glosses, you know, and hardens it.
Okay.
Yeah, you can buy them pre-shaped, which I like these because that flat bottom, when it hits the water, it goes splack. And then also, it gives me a bunch of hook gap for the fish to get hooked really well. So the reason I brought this color to you guys, this is my favorite color in the whole wide world for smallmouth bass. And they call this yellow chartreuse. All right, so your wing's tied on, you got it trimmed, same length. Next thing you're gonna do, you're gonna take that saddle hackle I gave you, or strong saddle, and we're just gonna palmer. We're gonna tie a tip in first. So I'm just gonna run my fingers back across, get the hackle fibers to stand up so they kind of curve this way. So on this style fly, I want the curve to go back towards the hook point. So if you can see which way the hackle curves, you're gonna put the curve towards the hook, towards the actual, you know, hook. And depending on which way you wrap, tie this in and bring it all the way back to your wing. So when I wrap this, the fibers are gonna go this way.
Facing forward.
Yeah. So I'll go ahead and start so you kind of see what I'm doing here, and you can kind of help them if they get out of whack too. They kind of.
And your thread, you start the thread with back towards the hook point or back forward?
Yeah. Well, I tied it in forward and then moved backwards and moved it back to the wing. And I'm going to bring this up. Going to keep wrapping this hackle to about 1/16 of an inch from where it starts to kink up. So about right there. And of course you can tie that down, trim off your excess. Sometimes I'll pull it back like that and just put a few wraps in front of it. That'll kind of help angle it back. And you can always take this popper head and gauge how far up you need to come with the hackle, because we're putting this on last. All right, so now guys, all you need to do is cover your hook shank, and it doesn't even have to be completely covered all the way up to the eye. Whip finish, whatever you want to do, half hitch, cut your thread off. So we're just laying a thread base for the glue to hold to the foam popper head now. That's all we're doing. I use, I like gel. You can use whatever you have. If you need some, I can pass mine around, but it's just super glue gel. I'm not gonna put a lot on there. I'm just gonna dab a little bit on the threads. Cup to the rear and just get it started and just kind of wiggle it. Don't push too hard because you don't want to stab your finger. And then as soon as you get past the hook, or the eye of the hook, stop. Just make sure it's, you know, the flat side's down. Now guys, I'm going to show you what I do next. So I take, you know, a good bodkin, and I'm going to bring the needle through at an angle to make my legs. So I'm going to start up here at the front,
My eyes aren't paying. I'm just going to look closer.
kind of angle it and push it through, okay? And I'm gonna do that again. Oh, of course I totally messed that one up because I wasn't paying attention on how much angle I was putting on it. There we go.
Oh, through the okay.
So then I'm gonna do that on one side and do that on the other side.
And you're below the hook shank on these.
Yeah, it might be right above it.
Oh, it does make any
It
difference.
doesn't really make a difference. If you hit it, you can kind of get by it. So I basically just drew an X with that needle. So now,
You need one of them.
yeah,
Thank you.
I'll take my metal threader, and if you don't have one, I have one. I'm gonna push that right through. I'm gonna take the bigger leg.
Is that a metal thread? Is that what you call a metal thread?
Yeah, it'll work. No. I'm gonna take the bigger leg, then y'all need to split them. We're gonna do one leg each. I stuck my threader through the hole. I've stuck my rubber leg in, and then I'm just gonna pull it through. Okay, just like that. Then I'm gonna do the other side the same way.
Still warm or anything?
Not yet. I will. So, stick the other one through.
Are you catching it in the middle of the leg? Or?
Yeah, you just want to catch it to where you're
just a
catching
part of
some
it.
of it. You
Part of
can
the leg.
adjust your length, and then you pull it through.
So the bottom line is you're gonna have stuff hanging out both sides.
Right.
Gotcha.
Right. So these are crisscrossed. I'll let you guys get there, and then I'll show you the length and how I glue. So I'm pretty generous on my legs, but what I do is I just make sure I have enough sticking out the front here. But all I do is I'm gonna take just a little dab of glue, pull it into the glue hits.
Gotcha.
Same on each side, and then I'll cut to length. And these legs that I gave you guys to use on this head are large round rubber. Most of what you see is medium. We used medium on the tail. I used the large on the head. The rear ones, I'll do it this way so y'all can see it better. The rear ones, I'm gonna cut the length of the fly, so to the back of the wing, like this. And the front ones, I'm gonna do half that. So that's it. And you are ready to catch a fish on the surface.